To understand Muhammad Ali, you really have to understand where he came from. He came from the same place I did, which is Louisville, Kentucky. He was a gold medalist in Rome in the 1960 Olympics. That gives you an idea of his age and the time period he came up. At that time, Louisville was extremely segregated. It was in the heart of the Jim Crow era. And so when he turned pro 4 years later, and on that same night announced that he was joining the Nation of Islam and changing his name to Muhammad Ali, it didn't go down well at all in Louisville and many other places in the country. So he became both a beloved figure and also one that people didn't quite understand, especially white America, especially his hometown. When he backed that up 3 years later by refusing to go in to be inducted into the Army, saying he didn't have a beef with the Viet Cong and wasn't going to go fight them, it provoked a huge reaction, even in Louisville, which has been a place that has loved him, but also had serious doubts about his sort of radical politics at the time. I wrote a story about him buying a house back in Louisville back in 2007, and I think the headline was, memory lane is a bittersweet in the hometown of the champ, because there were still people in that city even so many years later, 40 years after that induction decision, who resented him as a draft dodger, etc. What happened though over time was his courage, his willingness to take a stand no matter how unpopular and stick with it even after he was sentenced to jail, stripped of his titles, and to simply look in the camera and say, this is who I am, this is what I believe. It won people over. And of course, attitudes toward the Vietnam War changed as well. But what stood out for Muhammad Ali was that he refused to bend, but he also refused to whine. He was a very gracious dissident, I guess. He suffered a lot for his stance, and he never complained. He said, look, my people have been in chains for a lot longer than this. If I have to go to prison to stand up for my conscience, I'm going to do that.
And so burying him in Louisville.
This is the moment in all of our lifetimes as Louisvillians. There's probably not been another moment of such communal outpouring. I mean, everybody from Will Smith, who will be a pallbearer to President Clinton, to others who come to eulogize him, are coming on Friday for the burial. He's being buried at the most historic cemetery in Louisville. It's a beautiful, huge place with lakes and all kinds of history. It's where Colonel Sanders from KFC's buried, where my mother's buried, where thousands of people are buried. It's also a chance for the whole city to come together. If you remember pictures of Princess Di and all the flowers that were left at Buckingham Palace and elsewhere, that's happening in Louisville, not on that scale, but there are flowers being laid all over at the Muhammad Ali Center. People have gathered at his childhood home to remember him. And really a tip of the hat to the city and to his estate and his family. They've organized a series of community prayer services at the mosque, at larger venues in Louisville, where the whole city can come and pay their respects and be part of this event, even though the burial itself will be private on Friday.
Do you think, there was the tense past that he had with Louisville, but is it a good relationship now?
Oh, I think official Louisville and the vast majority of Louisville, this has become a moment in the civic history that nobody has ever affected their fellow citizens with the same feeling of pride and connection that Muhammad Ali has. Having said that, there are people in Louisville still who, see negatives in him and think it's being overdone. That's democracy. People have different views, but the vast majority of people see him as not only a hero, but someone of profound endurance and courage in the face of a disease that silenced him for many years.